bachelor's degree over a lifetime earn considerably more than people who don't complete a bachelor's. And there's the same thing generally with masters, although it depends on what kind of masters the person does. The ones we offer are all these practical master's degrees. If you're getting, on the other hand, a master's degree in English, you know, it's a really good degree from so many schools, but whether it's going to earn you more money, I don't know. And especially there's the problem that we have a history in America of not paying the educated to educate. And therefore, the whole class of teachers are people that, as a nation, we have a habit of exploiting. And so you go and get the master's degree in English and then set out to serve other people, you may be exploited for the rest of your life. But in general, yes, get that master's, the MBA still brings in a higher income than somebody who doesn't have an MBA, and so on. Yes, sir? Why does the cost of education keep going up 7-8% a year while the amount of return on your investment doesn't? Yeah, the inflation rate's a lot less and the return on your investment doesn't keep going up at the same rate. There's a number of factors there. One thing is the kind of education, at least that we do, is that kind of one-on-one education where there is personal contact with the student. We insist on the small classes, and therefore it's labor intensive. And every time Regis grows, we still are holding those class sizes at the 12 to 18 range. Even our online coursework is all small like that. And it's because we believe that what we're doing is not just information, but formation. What you're looking at in the public schools is a tradition of charging very low prices for the amount of goods that people are getting. And it's especially clear in some of the flagship schools where freshman classes will be 300, 400. The student is trained in there to be passive, to listen to a lecture and take the test. But there's not this kind of interaction with the faculty member that I'm talking about in a place like mine. And so we have the problem that our tuition rate is high anyway because we don't have much aid from the state, and that it gets worse every year. And so we keep looking for ways, for example, not to do as much in the classroom, have maybe only one class meeting a week with the faculty member that's that intensive, and to do the rest of the education using online techniques, for example. And we're experimenting with that sort of thing. They call that hybrid or blended classes. Let me take a position that will be unhappily heard by many of you. At the state of Colorado level, the legislature doesn't have any money right now. One of the groups that has had a very great plus in Colorado is people who are in the higher tax brackets and who have had a bargain rate for education at the flagship schools, particularly Boulder and Fort Collins. What people pay there is nowhere near the cost, the real cost, of operating those schools. Now the legislature is saying, we don't have the money. And what they're also becoming acutely aware of is that the folks who tend to be the white middle class and upper middle class have the capacity capacity to pay the cost themselves and still, over the long term, to get a lot out of it. The people who don't have the capacity to pay are Colorado's poor. And that means especially the Hispanic community of this state. We're notorious in the United States that Colorado spends less on higher ed for its number of citizens than almost anybody else. We count on people to come to Denver because it's nice weather. And it's worked for so long that we've gotten used to the idea that the state shouldn't be really investing in those schools. And then you have the paradox that the poor kid can't afford the low tuition at Metro, and the rich kid or the upper middle kid could afford far more tuition at Boulder. And when they do the tax studies, it turns out that what's going on is a transfer of wealth, and this one is hard to believe, but it's true, into the pockets of the people who are better off. And that is because the taxes that come into the state tend to be paid, much more of the taxes is coming from the poor paying the ordinary taxes than from the middle and upper middle class in terms of what they pay. So that it's the poor subsidizing the rate at Boulder, while the poor can't afford the lower rate that's still beyond their reach at Metro. Notice, I can say this to you with all candor because I'm standing on the outside of this one, looking in and worrying about the future of this state. I'll tell you something as a political scientist. It goes all the way back to Aristotle. If you create an underclass that you deny the opportunity to make a good career and deny them education, you create the rebels who will overthrow the society. It's right at the core of Aristotle's pragmatic advice to the upper class. What we have to do in the next few years in Colorado is take care that our poor have a real opportunity to get an education. Think of it another way. You know the old thing, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Well, think of the one natural resource that this state ignores. It's the brains of our poor.